All right, hello everybody. Hi, it's Elisa, the principal at Upwards. And first of all, I want to thank everyone to spend your time on the Saturday here listening to the panel. And today we have here, you see the amazing panelists with me. So first, I would like to introduce myself a little bit. So I'm the principal at Upwards leading our accelerator and community. And for Upwards, we are an accelerator for tech startup founders, and we are also a VC firm. We're based in Taipei, Taiwan, but we are now have our founder community present in 6 markets, including Taiwan, and 5 markets in Southeast Asia, and also covers Web3. And now in our community, we have more than 500 active startups and close to 1,700 founders in our accelerator community. So for this Taipei Blockchain Week, I feel very honored and grateful being here because many of our founders are actually the contributors or the panelists during this Taipei Blockchain Week. And now I want to briefly introduce the amazing panelists here. First, we have Kathleen. She's an artist, she's a singer, and she's also a DJ at ICRT. And we have Cassie here. She's a journalist. She also manages her own media content and also the consultant for many brands. And over there, we have Wei Shen. She's the founder of Womany. I believe many of you already heard about this startup. Womany is not only the media, but also the woman community. And Wei Shen herself is also an advocate for woman power. So now I would like to give our panelists like 30 seconds time to introduce yourself a little bit to the audience. Kathleen?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Caitlin. I'm otherwise known as Kai Ling. I am a broadcaster. I work at ICRT. I host the afternoon show Sweet Talk, and I also host a jazz radio show, Razma Jazz. I'm also a vocalist, and I founded the band Zai the Way, where we take 3,000-year-old ancient Chinese poetry and combine it with original fusion jazz. And you might find me at a lot of jazz festivals, also hosting events.
Hi everyone, I'm Cassie. I'm the founder and editor-in-chief of Almost, which is a social first, mostly Instagram and TikTok first media outlet telling world news stories for young people. I'm also an audience strategist. I work with a lot of different NGOs and nonprofits on growing their social media, including Amnesty International, the Red Cross, and so on.
Hello everyone, I'm Wei Shen, and you can know me in 3 ways. First, I'm an entrepreneur, and second, I'm a book author, and third, I'm a human-holic. I love to study people. So, when I heard their voices to say who they are, I feel so passionate about what will happen next. And I really believe we are all the products of the cultural, the historical, the material, the conceptual, the mix of everything, we humans. So I'm so excited to see what will happen in our panel.
Thank you. Okay, so actually we can see something in common from these 3 panelists. Each of them have very strong online presence, and they have their voice, they have the value they want to deliver. So my first question of this panel is I want to make sure that everybody here can get to know more about these amazing panelists. So growing up, I want to say, do you see yourself already a more expressive person compared with your peers? And since when have you really found your voice and your direction? And why is it significant to you? Maybe let's start from Kathleen.
Sure. So my upbringing is a bit unique. I grew up in 6 different countries. I lived in Singapore, Russia, China, I lived in Australia, which is where I'm from, Taiwan, of course, and the Middle East in Saudi Arabia.
Why? Why?
Well, I come from a diplomatic family, so wherever we were posted, I went with the family. Otherwise, I'd be stuck in boarding school. And that really shaped my values and voice. And I must say, after growing up in so many vastly different cultures, especially very different from my own, I began to realize it was hard to connect with the different cultures, but I really wanted to. So that drew me to music. I realized even if I don't speak the same language or we don't have the same cultural customs, through music, we're able to rejoice and connect. But after, dabbling in the music world for a while, I really wanted to hear the voices of other people. So that drew me to broadcasts, and particular radio, where I was able to combine sort of music and my love for trying to start conversations and amplify voices of other communities. So that's how my values and my mission sort of came together, is through growing up in so many different countries and want to connect with people.
So you find the connection basically through music.
I think music is the great way to gather people together, but to really hear from the other side, you need to give people a microphone, an opportunity to speak, to understand, and also start a dialogue. And as a broadcaster, working at ICRT, and as a radio person, I think it's just so important to amplify these voices and allow people to share their story.
Thank you. How about Casey?
Yeah, I mean, actually, similarly, I also grew up in a lot of different countries. I was born in Taiwan, but I grew up in New Zealand, went to college in the States, and then worked in London for like 5 years. But I think like when I was young, I've always just really been sort of really interested in people, for example, and I've always just wanted to make the world a better place. And I think as someone, I love the internet, so I was always spending time online. I was like signing up for MySpace back in the day, on LiveJournal, blogging, and doing all of these things. But I think it was just like for me to try and figure out how I could change the world, I guess. And then I think previously I wanted to be a teacher because I thought that would help change the world through young people. And then my teacher was like, have you thought about journalism? And I was like, oh, okay, maybe. And then he said, you might be able to impact a lot more people this way. So I thought, okay, let me give that a go. And then I went to college and studied journalism, and I was like, oh, I really like this. But then I obviously had to dabble a lot in different mediums. Like I did print, I did radio, I worked at ICRT as a news anchor. And then, finally, when I went to London, I think when I joined BuzzFeed, I realized, this is like the medium, because I've always loved the internet. This is like the medium that I feel like the best kind, I guess, combines all of my skills and sort of my experience to be able to best tell the stories that I want to tell, which is, people's stories, to tell people, around the world, what's going on, and for people to be able to better connect with each other.
And after that, you decided to build your own media channel, right?
Yes, indeed. And so, Almost, we really focus on telling stories from all around the world, just to sort of show the diversity of the human experience, so that people can really connect with, other people going on around the world. Because I think it's really simple to not think about, it's really easy to just forget about stuff that's not happening, like, stuff happening in Gaza, for example. You might think, oh, yeah, that's sad, but it doesn't really affect me. But I think it's really important for, especially young people, because we're focused on empowering young people and getting them to be able to, know about what's going on, so that they can, take action to make the world a better place. And so it's more about just helping them to understand that and equipping them with the knowledge so that they can, go out there and make a difference.
Some follow-up here. So what kind of content do you want to deliver to the young people?
I think, so a lot of times people usually, when I first started doing it on Instagram and TikTok, people were like, oh, Instagram, you don't really want to share hard news stories on Instagram, because, it's a place where you share photos of your brunch and your cute dog and your beautiful holiday. But actually, we, through sort of my experience working both at BuzzFeed and also at Bloomberg, we've really discovered that, young people really want the news. It's just not really being delivered to them in ways that make sense to them. And so, we really lean into topics of social justice, activism, politics, and obviously there's some lighthearted stories as well, but we've really seen that these are the stories that are the most rewarding for us, because these are the stories that young people want to know. They want to know what's going on in the world.
Thank you. Wei Xuan, let us know about your story.
Compared to Kathy and Kathleen, I think I came from a very humble family. I learned English at 12. I didn't come from a diplomatic family, or I didn't grow up in New Zealand. But I've always been the young girl who always wanted to learn how to express, how to speak up for myself or for others ever since I had a memory. There's a story when I was just six, on the very first day in elementary school, and my teacher stood on the stage and asking for there's any volunteer to want to be the class president. I raised my arm in no time and saying, yes, I could be the class president. And my teacher, she ignored me. She looked the boy sit next to me and say, "Do you want to be the class president, David?" And my arm was still there. And I said, "Why not me?" She ignored me. And then the teacher turned to me, asked me again, "Wei Shen, do you want to be the vice class president because you're a girl? It suits you better." I was just 6. I have no idea what is that. I accept that. But when I got home, I asked my mom, "Is that true? Is that true I can be a vice one because of who I am, a girl?" I cannot express how appreciative I am of what my mom told me that day. I remember that. She told me, "Screw that." Don't believe that. You can be whatever you want to be. Anytime. Anytime. So I think that I've learned how extraordinary her words were. Because every time, anytime, when I grow up, I've realized, I've learned how the power structure play the role in our everyday life. I've learned how the society has a certain way that you have to be that, or you have to act that. What a beautiful lady should be, what is a successful man should be. So it's not just affects a girl, it's about everyone. So I think that humble story when I was 6, I didn't know anything yet, but I realized there's something wrong in the society. There's something wrong in the world. Why? What's the reason why? If you want to be the DJ, but you're too pretty for that. I believe, Kathleen, you must heard something like this. You're too pretty for DJ.
All the time.
Yes. And Cassie, I believe you will heard something like that. "Oh, you're 26. It's the best age for, not for startup. It's the best age for you to go on dates, to get married." And maybe, Alyssa, you will encounter some question about this. "Oh, you are very successful in your career, but did you have a kid? If you don't have a kid, then you don't understand what is a woman are. You don't understand what's the happiness to be a woman because you are not a mother." And then I just want to ask, why? Why? It's not our screenplay. So my startup is about to not fight back, but to start a dialogue, to start a conversation, to inspire people to explore who they are, the authentic themselves. So I really like the topic of our forum. It's about the narrative. It's about storytelling. It's about who we are. We can express ourselves through the microphones, through the blockchain, through the NFT, through everything, through technology. I think that's the beauty of who we are. We have to intersect with the modern world and who we are now at any time, no matter it's 6 or 26 or 36 or even 56.
Wow, that's a very inspiring sharing, almost can be the keynote. All right, so I believe it's all because this experience and then shape who you are today. So I also want the audience get to know you guys already established a group of followers who really admire you, follows you, resonate with you. But throughout your journey, what major hurdles have you encountered along the way when you are building your presence? Can you share some concrete story with us? Have you ever self-doubt, and how did you overcome these challenges? Maybe this time we start from Cassie.
Yeah, sure. Actually, it's kind of tied into what Wei Shen was talking about. So when I went to London, I wanted to work in media, but then I didn't have any experience in the UK, and the media industry in the UK is very heavily white male dominated, and so it was already very difficult to at first just to even get like an interview, and so there was a lot of difficulties just in terms of I spent a lot of time like fixing my CV and trying to network in order to just even to get into the room for like an interview. And then once I managed to make it into BuzzFeed, because they're more like a more advanced progressive company in terms of like hiring, so they were less sort of like, oh, you need to have gone to Oxford or Cambridge in order to like join us like at the Telegraph or something like that, for example. But then once I got in, I realized it was still very difficult to sort of, I guess, just to get your opinions heard as a woman, because I think, especially as a woman of color in overseas as well. So sometimes, you'd sort of bring up something and then it would get ignored. And then another guy who's probably a white man will probably say the same thing, and they'll be like, wow, what a great idea. We should definitely do that. And I'll be like, I just said that. And then everyone will be like, oh, wow, Ryan, good job. Like, you said this great thing and we're going to do it and we love your idea. And so I think it's something that you sort of discover a lot. It happens a lot in not just like media. I think it happens in all sorts of different industries that like women tend to not have their opinions valued as much or heard as much. But I think in order to, so I was struggling with this a lot, and then I realized, I spoke to other women who were also facing the same issue, and that was part of like the solution, just being able to build like a support network of people who could like support each other, like women, and not just women, like allies as well. Like there were men who were supportive, and they'd say like, I can help you with this, like, I can, so if I were to bring up something, they could say like, oh, actually Cassie already said that, they would, and then just being able to have people who support you, and then also just realizing that at the end of the day, you have to be your biggest fan. You have to, shout about your own achievements, because if you don't do it, nobody else will. Obviously, you have to work really hard so that you can actually shout about your achievements, but it's really important that you are able to you have to feel comfortable about like putting yourself forward. But it also is difficult because you have to think about how you put yourself forward, because it could be, seen, you could be seen as, Alyssa and I were talking about this earlier, you could be seen as like, oh, you're being so emotional as a woman, you shouldn't, talk like that, whereas like if a man did that, it would be different. But, a lot of it is just like learning and speaking with others and building that support network and having people to be able to shout about your own achievements and then, have people support you on that as well.
Do you still encounter such like challenges nowadays?
I think I'm more fortunate now that I don't, because I have my own company and it's all women. So what we do is we just we uplift each other. But I think sometimes when you work with other clients and stuff, definitely. But I think whenever we reach, whoever reaches like a position where they're more privileged to be able to not have to face that as much, I think it's important for us to then help others, other people who may not have the advantage.
Yeah. So now you know how to handle such situations. So you kind of change how you deal with it. You are more focusing on helping others to deal with such difficult situations.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow. And how about Caitlin, your story, the challenges?
Definitely. Well, working in the entertainment industry and also in the broadcast industry, people only see sort of the tip of the iceberg. But really, there is a lot of hard work. There's a lot of struggle. A lot of people, when they think of a singer, they think of the glamour. Wow, you're going to be at the red carpet, going to go to this event. But honestly, I have practiced for more than 15 years singing, going on stage, doing things for free over and over again, just to be able to get a seat at the table and to be able to share my voice. So honestly, being an artist, there's a lot of work that goes into it. But outside of that, I want to talk a bit about COVID. I mean, arts and culture is usually the first thing to get funding taken away. It's the last thing that people want to pay money for. People are just, they expect it for free, but they rely on it so much. When you go out, you hear music. When you go out, we need art, we need the fashion designers, we need people to add the color and the culture into the city, but we're always the first to take funding away. And during COVID especially, a lot of artists...
Yeah, we just want to watch it on YouTube for free.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, that's fine, but people don't respect artists and the time that we put in to be able to reach that professional level. And that's why in COVID, a lot of artists were struggling, because we almost had no income whatsoever. Like, I had zero income because all of my payments come from, being face-to-face, being at events, performing, and At the same time, because we were struggling, there was able to start a renaissance in our art. We wanted to express ourselves. So you can probably see a lot of mainstream artists also, they have expressed themselves, and there's been a resurgence of a new voice. So that's really exciting now that we're back. But being an artist, I would say if you have the opportunity and the luxury to be able to pay for something or pay for a ticket or go and support your friend who is trying to do their side hustle or passion, please go and do it.
Support them.
Absolutely. We need culture. We love culture.
I think for like Taipei Blockchain Week, the organizer, they also put a lot of effort into the design. That's also something, complimented by many of the audience and guests these days.
Absolutely. Like today, the qipao I'm wearing is my friend. She is a qipao designer, and I knew I had a platform today, so I decided I'm going to wear her qipao, let people know about my culture, the culture we are in right now, and also promote her design. So just doing little things like that to support your friends or people, artists goes a long way.
Right. Thank you. Okay, Wei Shen, how about you? The challenge. So fun fact. So before the panel, we were actually like rehearsing the questions and answers. And Wei Shen shared one of her story. I told her, no, this is not difficult enough. I want to hear more difficult challenges. So Wei Shen, please.
Hello, it's sisterhood. Girls helps girls. Thank you. I have to confess, it is a question that I've always have trouble to answer because when I've started my company for 12 years, and if you really trying to ask me about the challenge, failure, mistakes, then I will say, I forgot. I really forgot.
Too many.
Too many, or I don't want to focus myself on that part. I always want to focus on the vision, the long-term goal, the thing I want to achieve, rather than, I have something bad happen, the bad moments, and I'm really sad, because we don't really have time on that at all. But because we all hosts are so professional, so she asked me, no, you have to say something. And I have to say, every day, I feel I'm not good enough. For a while, for a long time. So I remember in 2017, I've got the opportunity to represent Taiwan, but we can only say Chinese Taipei on international forum, APEC. APEC, come on, it's Zhang Zhoumo's place, right? It's not for me, come on, I'm just a nobody. I'm just the founder of Womany. Who cares? For the mainstream, for the male-dominated world, who cares about gender, DEI, inclusive world? Come on, who cares? That's the noise in my mind, in my head. And I think, why can I get the opportunity to represent Taiwan, my place, my hometown, to be such an important place to speak up about Taiwan's story, to speak up about the young generation story? Who am I? I don't have the guts, and I feel I'm crushed because I don't think I'm good enough. And I do practice, so I feel so connected with Kathleen's, your experience, because you try 15 years to how to sing, and then one of my mentor, one of my friends, asked me, Wei Shen, why you think you are not good enough? Can you see what I've achieved already in Taiwan society? She asked me the questions. My mentor asked me the question. Did you know how many young girls, because of you, because of Womany, they have guts to go abroad, to trying to sit on the table and say, I have the will to be the leader? How many young girls, how many boys learn how to love, how to say, I'm sad, I'm heartbroken? And when people ask me the question, can you focus on what you've done already rather than something you haven't done yet? And then I think that's a really important moment for me because I'm always the person who wants to be perfect. I always see, oh, you see the blockchain is coming. The woman need prepare for that. Oh, should we put design the NFT and we have to do some, the mint. We have to follow the trend. We have to lead the chain. We are the pioneer of the society, but come on. We need to focus on who we are now. And I think that it's a crucial moment for me to confront myself. I have an ambition to be a good person, but what makes me good is not because I want, it's because of what I did, what I've done, what we have achieved. So when you ask me about what's a challenge, what's a failure, what's a mistake, I really don't remember them. But if you really want to ask me that, it's the year I represent Taiwan to be the APEC meeting. And I have to say to you, I'm really happy to share the experience because when I share the story of Taiwan, when I share the story of Womany in APEC forum meeting around, there were like maybe more than 100 countries representative sitting there. When I finish my sharing, they are clapping more than 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and they are saying, what happened in Taiwan? Why there's a young girl can build up this kind of company through technology's facilitation. And we have made a Code for Gender hackathon, which nominated by United Nations with the best civil movement in the world. So, my dear fellows, today, focus on what we've achieved. It's always better than to look at something we haven't achieved yet. That's my lesson.
I actually heard something in common from your story about all those challenges, which is supporting system. So you build a supporting system when there's occasions, you try to promote your friends, present their work, and you have a supporting system when there's unfair situation, somebody speak up for you. And you also have a supporting system when you have some self-doubt, people will encourage you and let you know you already achieved so much. So I think that's something critical in our lives, and I hope that everybody here, we have to remember it. We also want to beat others' supporting system. All right, last questions to wrap up our panel today. So we've heard about how they grew up, how to shape them as who they are now, and also about their challenges. So last but not least, I also want you guys to share some story that you already built such a followers, so many people resonate with your work and also see you as a role model. So are there any cute or touching stories from your followers, from your audience, or any opportunities by what you do, and that's really motivate you and make you feel fulfilled? Can you share some concrete examples with us? Maybe, okay, Wei Shen, let you go first.
I love this kind of question then. But like what I said, I want to focus on what we've done rather than what we haven't done yet. I remember during the years of starting Womany, our aim goal is to build up a diverse, inclusive environment for everyone to be authentic selves. And one day, I got an email from a man and saying, do you have a bank account? I really want to donate something to Womany. And I say, I think, the first paragraph, it's so weird. Is it something bad will going to happen? And then I look on the second paragraph. He wrote, I was a single daddy. I just divorced. I was sitting in the living room because my daughter, which is 4 years old, and she finally fell asleep. And then I feel I'm so lonely. I don't know who I can turn to. I feel scared. I don't know what should I do. He is a single daddy. And he told me, and then Womany, the name occurs to my mind. And I feel so relieved. Oh, there's a Womany over there. Good. They have to survive over time. So I want to ask you about your bank account because I really want you to survive. You have to wait for my daughter to grow up. Because I really hope woman could be my daughter's sister, to be my daughter's teacher. Oh, I really want to cry now. To be my daughter's mother. It is a moment I would never forget. A man reached out for spiritual support, and he knew what his daughter needs, and he expects womanly. He knows womanly that what we can do. I think that is a moment can make me can still be here on the path.
Empowered and
Empowered.
recharged. And fight for another 10 years.
Thank you. I think that story empowers and supports me at every minute. Every time I want to give up. Every time I feel, oh no, I have to speak English on the stage. And then I will remember I have to be here. Even though English is not my native language, I feel scared now, seriously. But I have to be here. Why? Because we have to express myself. We have to express ourselves anytime, any age. If we have the opportunity, we have to stand up and say, it's a story we have to share. It's a story, it's a perspective we need to make the world to see. Everyone matters. Every story matters. It is a moment that still I carry that power, strength with me and my team. Oh, you're great, my dear. So I think I cannot be appreciative to every users, like they will so generous to send the feedback to us. So I really agree with what other panels just saying, the supporting system, every feedback, every user's comments, every story are important to
Meaningful.
everyone, are
Yes.
meaningful. Thank you.
Thank you. Very touching story. Wow. And she speak good English, right? Share a very touching story with everybody. So no worries. Cassie, hand over the mic to you.
Yeah, sure. I think, it's hard to follow that up. But I think it's similarly for us because we're media, we're here, especially for young people and especially young women. I think, a lot of times it's just like being able to see that we're able to actually make a positive impact in the lives of young women, or just like people in general and young people in general, just being able to see comments, that are, appreciative of the work that we do and feel like, they're learning about the world and feeling like they can take action. But I think the most direct impact that I can see is when, recently we had, because we've been doing a lot of coverage of the war in Gaza, and recently I had a girl from India, she reached out to me and she said, hey, she emailed me and she said, hey, Cassie, I looked at all of your coverage, I love everything that you're doing, and I just had to email you because I really want to join Almost, and I want to be part of this. I want to help with like informing the world about what's going on here because I love everything that you do and the way that you do it, and I just want to be involved. And so I think being able to, and now she's actually part of the team. So it's just being able to see like doing things that can help empower young women and platforming young voices, giving them the opportunity to share their stories. I think is just really important to me and sort of keeps me going. Because same as like, what Wei Shen is talking about, like whenever I'm like, oh, I don't want to keep doing this, I'm very tired. Being a founder is very hard, solo founder as well. Then, I look at my team and I'm like, okay, I got to do it for them. We got to build this like, media environment that they have these opportunities that I didn't have when I was back in Taiwan. And that's why I went overseas. Like I want to be able to build these opportunities for young women to be able to grow and to be able to share their stories and, help the world. And so, just like, I guess, just looking at my team and seeing how far they've come just is really, really motivating for me, and being able to receive those messages from other young people around the world who also want to be involved.
Are you intentionally building the all-woman-led team?
No, I think it just happened that way, that they just happened to be the best for the job.
Wow, nice. Okay. Kathleen?
I think for me, the most touching part of the career that I have is just being able to see people unite and connect. And some of the most touching moments have been, I'll have audience members come to my performances and say, you know what, my parents, they've been married for 30, 40 years. They're always so strict. They don't show any emotion or any appreciation. But for some reason, you got them to dance. And we're celebrating for the first time in the 3 decades I've known my parents, or however long they've known their parents. And I think for me, that is the most touching. And I really believe if we can encourage, especially if we have a platform or a voice, we can encourage people to really rejoice and give a bit of positivity and encouragement, it can really go a long way no matter in what perspective.
Wow, thank you. So I think we run a little bit over time for our panel. So last but not least, I want to give an opportunity to each panelist. So if you want the audience here to remember one thing after this panel, what do you want to tell them? Maybe 1 or 2 sentences, please.
Okay. Are you ready for this? Hey, speak up for yourself. Are you ready for this?
Wow.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, if you can only take one sentence from me, then I will say, everyone matters. Every story counts. Create your own stories. Say it. Period.
Everyone's special.
Yes, everyone's special. You are special.
Cassie?
I guess it would just be, support women and others.
Like how?
Just, and everyday things like we've spoken about, whether it's like, speaking up for them, calling out, when, there's injustices happening or inequalities, and just, it's only through sort of supporting each other. It's not just women, it's just like also people in like minorities and disadvantaged positions and less privileged than us. I think it's important to recognize your privilege and then be able to, if you have the privilege, then help others to, also be able to get to a more equitable world.
Copy that. Okay, Kathleen?
I would say remember the power of positivity. I think a little positivity can go a long way. And like just to piggyback on what you were saying about support and being there for people and encouragement, I think power of positivity is just a one sentence that can wrap all of that up.
Yeah, when you like miss someone, when you feel like you like something, just tell that person, right? A little encouragement is very meaningful and can support them maybe along the way. All right, so that's a wrap of our panel today. So at the end, if you feel inspired by the story from this panelist, you can follow Womany, subscribe to Cassie and Kathleen's channel, and if you are a founder, welcome to join us at Upwards. Thank you, everybody.